Day one of the legal tampering period has been in the books, and Ryan Poles cooked. And in a lot of ways, when you look at what he's already done in free agency from the coaching search till now, Ryan Poles has already turned this team over quite a bit and fixed a lot of the issues that were plaguing this team. We're going to grade free agency. Also, reportedly, Drew Dalman took less to join the Chicago Bears. We're going to talk about it all and more on today's Chicago Bears Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. Big Kev will be joining us. It will be me and Big Kev here at some point this morning. But I'm feeling good, y'all. I'm feeling really good about what the Bears have already done in free agency just because of the direction that it brings, right? Like when you really go back and look at this thing and what the Bears have done from the coaching search till now, it's quite a bit of difference that this team has. Like, let's start off with looking at just the coaches, right? Bringing in Ben Johnson already, and it brings a different flavor and feel to the Chicago Bears team, right? Mainly because of the incompetence of Matt Eberflus. Unfortunately, the Bears made the decision to keep on for Matt Eberflus when they probably should have moved on from him last year. You brought in Ben Johnson. The way that Ben Johnson went out and established his coaching staff already felt different than what Matt Eberflus did with his coaching staff. We're getting a mix of veterans, some young guys, some future guys in here. And so the Bears just have really taken a really nice step in the right direction, a couple of steps in the right direction. We got Big Kev in the building with the old Tecmo Bowl shirt. That's a fire vintage shirt there, brother.
Appreciate you, gang. My bad. How you feeling this morning?
I'm good. How you healing up, brother?
Hey, man, it's just another day. Grind don't stop.
Y'all make sure y'all give Big Kev some love, man. Most of y'all don't know Big Kev fighting the illness. Still was on live stream a total of like 3.5, 4 hours yesterday.
It was worth
it down for the squad, man.
It was worth it, man. The Bears made me proud yesterday, bro.
Yeah, bro. The Bears are definitely making us all proud, man. Let's start off. I was talking about how just already like the place that this team was at the end of last season till now has just been it's been a complete turnaround, you can say. Now, of course, we need to see it on the field before we get too overly excited about it. But like just the change of the coaching staff, having Ben Johnson here, the way that he's established his staff, and then already you see the focus of Ryan Poles to fix the trenches and the blocking and get the protection for Caleb Williams. Basically, every move, we've only made moves in the trenches, basically, other than re-signing some of our own free agents, right? Even Durham Smythe, a tight end, he's a blocking tight end. So that's still one that's built around adding more protection for Caleb Williams. When you look at the focus that Ryan Poles has had, because there was some doubt on his evaluation and him being able to execute, getting the protection in here, how do you feel about what he's done on paper so far?
I mean, there's a culture shift right now. That's something that we haven't really felt as Chicago Bears fans in a long time. Like even when we brought Eberflus in, we brought in Matt Nagy. There was no real shift in the culture. It was still pretty much the same old Bears, just trying to plug in different guys to lead this organization. Now it seems like it's an organizational shift, not just the team, not just the trenches, but the entire image of the Chicago Bears is changing right now. The biggest thing that I noticed about yesterday is that the Bears and Matt Nagy himself, not Matt Nagy, Ryan Poles himself, are no longer just resting on their laurels. They're not just looking at the depth chart like, oh, well, we got enough here, we got enough there, because they could have just looked at players like Austin Booker and players like Javon Dexter and said, well, we expect them to take a step forward. No, they went and grabbed Odangbo and Jarrett to shore up those two positions and allow there to be some competition, not just competition, but to have depth at those positions. So I think that they're finally changing and going in the right direction to put together a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, not just this year, obviously, but for many years to come.
Yeah. I mean, and it seems like, again, on paper, as of right now, we finally have a direction and we're going into that direction intentionally, right? Not just hoping that we're going to stumble across it. Like, and the woulda, coulda, shoulda. The offensive line should have been fixed years ago, but it is what it is. He's working on fixing it now, and that's the important part of it, right? Now, in that, right, we've made some really good deals, some trades, Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney. These are all moves that we were high on. But Bears yesterday, in their first move at the opening of the tampering period, went out and got Drew Dalman about 30 minutes into free agency starting. Reportedly, this comes from CBS Jonathan Jones. He said the Dalman turned down more money from an identified team to play with the Bears. Not that the deal Dalman got from Chicago is anything to scoff at, but it speaks volumes on how players view the Bears with new head coach Ben Johnson leading the charge. Hey, what do you think about Drew Dalman taking less? And do you agree, like with Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports here, that this is a sign and indication that players are going to want to come to play under Ben Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the fact that Drew Dalman decided to take less is a direct indication that the Ben Johnson effect is real. And Ben Johnson is going to have to go out there and prove that he's, worth all the bills, everything that everybody is hyping him up for. Like, the hype is real, though. Like, it's real. The Detroit Lions were they were the LA Clippers of the NFL. They were the laughing stock of the NFL for so long.
Accurate as fuck.
So and then here he comes in, and not just him. Obviously, you got to give who's over there, their head coach over there. We can't just ignore the fact that he played a major role. But offensively, these guys were top 5 for the last 3 seasons. Offensively, nobody, even when they had Megatron, they weren't doing the things that they've been doing under Ben Johnson. So the Chicago Bears are fortunate that they did keep Eberflus, as I just saw in the comments, for that extra season, because we could have another head coach headed into his second year right now as opposed to Ben Johnson. So, of course, the Drew Dalman situation is directly linked to Ben Johnson, and I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, and somebody asked that too, like we're before free agency started, like are teams, are players going to be that willing to come play for Ben Johnson? Or are they going to want to wait and see? And the thing that I always said is that guys got to understand, like, players have a lot more insight than what we do as fans, right? They talk to other players, they see more than what we do as well, as far as what goes on, even on those sidelines, being opposing the team. So I'm not surprised with it. I think there is a new excitement. And you said a culture shift here with Chicago. And that's the perfect way to really place it in the words. Like, there is a culture shift. The fact that somebody's even willing to take less to play for the Bears of all teams says a lot, right? But now we got to go out there and prove it. Because if this, for some reason, does go left, I don't think that it will. But if it does, then we're right back to where we started, right? All that excitement goes right back to trepidation, and we don't want to see that, right?
Man,
So,
first of all, trepidation, I feel you, my guy. Second of all, if it goes left, then I'm firmly in the camp that the Chicago Bears are cursed. Firmly. Like, there's no way. Like, I'm not saying the Bears should go out there and win 15 games next season, but there's no way the Chicago Bears are 5-7 win teams. No way. No way. Unless the same things happen where it's like, oh, they lose by field goal or they lost by Hail Mary, stuff like that, man, I can't take it again, bro. So no way. No.
That's fair. That's fair. So we know that we've drastically improved the trenches, right? Braxton Jones still right now as slated to be a starter. When you look at that, do you think, because I'm of the mind that I think you want to bring in somebody who, at least on paper, you have the mind of, no, they're going to start in place of Braxton Jones. And if Braxton wins it in training camp, cool, great. Or do you think that with this improved offensive line, I know that Braxton had the injury, won't take the injury, let's say he's fully ready to go by training camp. Do you think Braxton deserves another opportunity to start on an improved offensive line, or would you still be looking to upgrade the Braxton Jones spot?
I'm looking to upgrade. Braxton Jones has had his opportunities already. If he wins it out in camp, like you said, okay, then so be it. But if you got an opportunity to get the young man out of LSU, if he's there, you grab him. I mean, Braxton Jones, we love you, we appreciate you, bro. But he hasn't shown me enough to say that he's just automatically the starter. And if they have an opportunity to improve at that position, you do it. Our quarterback, our number 1 pick, got sacked 68 times last year. Now, some of it had to do with the quarterback himself, but a lot of it had to do with the offensive line. And Braxton Jones was a part of that unit. So for me, like, man, it's sad. It's a business, though. And from a business standpoint, And in terms of the team itself moving forward, Braxton Jones might have to find himself on the chopping block. That's just how I feel. As much as I love Tevin Jenkins, he got to go. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel the much same way with you. It's like, and Braxton, it's just the fact that Braxton hasn't improved. And when a player hasn't improved in 3 years, I'm not going to have the inkling that all of a sudden they are going to improve. Like, Braxton is cool. Like, he's cool. He's fine. But if we're trying to really get this thing upgraded, and you even look, like, you can find upgrades for Braxton in round 2 that can handle a bull rush. That's the biggest thing. Like, every offensive lineman has their shortcomings, right? Even Drew Dalman, who we just talked about, like, he is short. One of his shortcomings is he's not as efficient in the passing game. He doesn't allow sacks, but he has his issues, right? But Braxton not being able to handle a bull rush at this level of football is so detrimental to the stability of that offensive line, because that's something that they can come in and say, hey, we're just going to game plan. All we got to do is keep bull rushing Braxton. Eventually, we're going to penetrate through and get through.
That's funny, Crimson. But yeah, that's it. Like, if you can't handle the bull rush, bro, like, that's something they teach you in biddy football. You know, like, you just it is what it is, man. Like I said, I'm not even just looking for, oh, let's bring in somebody to compete. I'm looking to upgrade that spot. And who is it? Will Turner, is that his name? The young man from LSU.
Yep.
If he's available, you go get him, bro. You go get him.
We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. When you look at this team and what we've done in free agency already, and I know that Bears are pretty much done spending in free agent. Pretty much. Some minor moves could be had. What are the biggest holes that you still see left on this roster that we have to address between the draft and whatever we do next?
I mean, we still got the injury at safety, right? Like, that right there is big. You just don't want to go into the season with a big question mark like that in your defensive backfield. You really don't. I like Odangbo being added, but I'm still high on getting the edge rusher to get more pressure on the quarterback. I like Booker. I like Odangbo, but I'm not necessarily sure that those two combined will pay big dividends outside of, next to Montez Sweat. But those are my two biggest ones. And, of course, still the offensive line. Like, you still got to go ahead and make sure that this offensive line is 100%. Somebody just mentioned it in the comments. It's Will Campbell. Thank you, pterodactyl lips. Okay, that's a word. Anyhow, I just feel like the offensive line should still be a focal point, as well as the defensive backfield and edge rusher. And then maybe running back too, though, because DeAndre Swift, I think people are low on him. He can still get better under Ben Johnson, but you still got to go out there and get yourself a running back as well, as far as positional players are concerned.
I think that DeAndre Swift is going to be even more dangerous now with an improved offensive line, but I think this thing still holds true, right? Two things can be true. He's still not an every down back. He's not. And that's the thing. People saying that people aren't better than Braxton. Armand Mbao is better than Braxton Jones. Will Campbell is absolutely better than Braxton Jones. No, you got to stop. Braxton Jones is a serviceable offensive lineman at this level. To say that the young players aren't coming in, they're way better than Braxton Jones. I'm sorry. Braxton Jones is solid. He's solid. And I do think he can start on some NFL teams. I think he'd be better as a depth piece, but depending on the level. But to say that these guys aren't better than Braxton Jones is just idiotic. He's better than Braxton Jones. What's going on, Stevo?
What's the word? Yeah.
Now, and then if we're talking about, I mean, we still got to see them play NFL games. So, like, I'm not going to go as far as to say that it's idiotic to think that they're not better. But to say that Braxton Jones is, like, just, so far ahead of those guys, like, these guys are top 10 talents for a reason. Like, come on now. Now, I'm of the belief that you don't necessarily want to rely on rookies to come in and lead your offensive line, but I still feel like they would be upgrades just based on upside alone, Haize. These guys would be upgrades over Braxton Jones.
What happened, Steve-O?
Steve-O, you good?
I'm just glad we've been spending money because Vikings are, boy, they just signed Will Fries for $88 million. They just also got Javon Hargrave. Then they picked up Allen from when they released him from the Commanders.
Jonathan
Allen. The Vikings, I think everybody in the NFC North understands that you got to continually improve in the NFC North, and that's just to keep your ground. We're trying to gain ground in the NFC North, but just to keep your place in the North, you gotta make moves every single year to improve your team. So That's not a surprise at all, man.
Best
I'm just
division.
glad. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm glad we was able to make some moves and
Yeah.
significant moves because
Yeah.
it would have been difficult to go up against Minnesota if we didn't make those moves.
You know what it makes me wonder, gentlemen, which NFC North team is going to take a step back next season? Because somebody got to take a step back if we're expecting the Chicago Bears to take a step forward.
Step up.
Well, here's
looking
the
like
thing.
Detroit.
I don't know if that's necessarily true because the Bears left so much on the table against teams out of the division. Like if the Bears would have closed out some of those games better, we're talking about a division that everybody could have had a winning record legitimately next year.
Well, I'm more so thinking about the what was it, 1-5, 1-5 in the division last year.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like from along those terms. The Bears got they got to beat teams at least half the times. One of those teams got to take another loss to the Bears next year.
Not for
real.
I feel like I get what you're saying. Like, of course, if we win in 10 games, somebody else gonna be winning 8-9 games.
Exactly.
And I feel like it has to happen, but it looking like the Lions because they got something pretty much the same team on paper, but when you gut the whole coaching staff, that's a difference. That's a difference between mindset. That's a difference between how they're teaching and what they've been taught. Because some people can come in and come change everything up. That's just the reality of what it is. So I think if I had to do an early prediction, it would most likely be the Lions just because they have the most difference compared to everybody else in the league.
And they lost both their coordinators. That's big too. Like Dan Campbell is an absolute stud as a head coach, right? Love Dan Campbell as a coach, but losing your two coordinators to other teams, that's going to impact you as well. So I do think that's another thing to look at as well as the personnel thing. The Lions definitely could take a little bit of a step back in the division.
No, for real.
That's true.
Like, but I've always said no matter what it looks like, we got one of the most competitive divisions in the league. So it's gonna be a dogfight regardless of if they add, if they don't add. We always gonna have a dogfight when it comes between Minnesota, Detroit, or it don't matter. It's gonna be a dogfight. So I'm not taking any of them lightly either.
For me, I'm gonna say the Minnesota Vikings. I think they wildly overachieved last season, and they got exposed in the playoffs. They still don't have a quarterback. I'm hearing rumors that they
technically they got JJ.
Yeah, but
that was the plan.
Yeah, but I think JJ last season would have been worse than Darnold. I know that sounds crazy, but he's a rookie, so he would have had to take his lumps.
No, don't sound crazy.
He would have to take his lumps. So and he's another like a redshirt rookie, as it were. So he's going to take his lumps this year. But the main reason I'm saying it is just like nobody expected them to go out there and do it, and then they got exposed in the playoffs. So they could take a big step back this year as well.
That though.
Yeah, we did see that coming.
Yeah, I think you got a valid point. Like, I'm not a big believer of JJ either, and I think that's their focus. They're gonna come in and let him be the starting quarterback. Now, if he just miraculously have another crazy season, that's something to be to pay attention to. But like I said, I don't have that much praise when it comes to JJ. He's a project, especially coming after an ACL injury. We don't know how he's going to be. Mobility was a big reason why they also took him on the board. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do because I still think we're gonna thrash their ass.
We'll see, man. It's gonna be fun to watch. The question I was about to ask Kev, Steve, before you come on, I'll throw it to both of you guys. The biggest hole that you still see that needs to be filled on this team, position wise, or anything else between now and getting through the draft?
I already answered, but so Steve, you can go ahead. But I mentioned edge, offensive line, steal, and safety.
Okay. No linebacker there, Kev?
Say that again.
Not worried about the linebacker? You think we're good at linebacker?
I feel like we're good with TJ. I feel like Edmunds, though, with the defensive line improvements, he can improve, but that's gonna remain to be seen. They can't cut him because it's dead money in that situation. So like they can't cut him. They're gonna have to field him this season. I think that's a position they're gonna look at either in the season or after the season because then they can cut him after the season and not have to, take a big salary cap hit.
Fair. Steve?
Yeah, I think the biggest, if I had to look at two positions that I feel like is the biggest hole is free safety and left tackle. I'm not one of those people that's like, we could just put out Braxton till it's time. No. If you have a chance to go get a left tackle like a Mimbu, a Will, hell, I'm not even the biggest fan of Kelvin, but if Kelvin Banks is available, go get him. I am completely done with Braxton Jones being my starting left tackle. He's serviceable, but I don't like serviceable at left tackle. You could be serviceable guard, you could be a serviceable center. Something I'm not allowing to be serviceable on my team is the left tackle.
I like serviceable in terms of a spot position play. Like, okay, our left tackle is down for the next week or two.
Yeah.
Braxton Jones come in and hold us down
Exactly.
until we get back type stuff.
Exactly. That's exactly what my point is. Like, yeah, you could get through the season with Braxton, but it's gonna be ugly. When you go up against them big games like a Detroit, like a Green Bay, where they know that line is really like that, and that's the scary part. Like, I hate watching Braxton against the not Detroit, against Green Bay, because they just be bull rush. If he can't figure out how to stop a bull rush and he's in what, year 4 or 5, he ain't gonna never figure it out.
It's gonna be the same way with Detroit too, with Hutchinson coming back too.
Yeah, Hutchinson, right. Like it's too many dynamic edges that's in the league already and coming into the league right now. So if a linebacker undersized is having no problems getting past Braxton as my left tackle, he don't need to be the starting left tackle.
Yeah, I think the thing with Braxton is that, like, and you use the perfect word, he's serviceable. Like, Braxton as a debt, and I've been saying that for like a year now. As a debt piece, I have no issues with Braxton.
Perfect.
As a debt piece, I have no problem with it. But as a starter, especially now that the expectation is rising, I do think we need to upgrade that left tackle position. That's one that I'm definitely looking at us upgrading in the draft. Outside of that, I would say still safety, and safety is that's more of a fear for me. Like, Jaquan Brisker's health, honestly terrifies me. If somebody could guarantee and say, hey, Haize, he's going to be 100% healthy the entire season, I wouldn't worry about it as much. Still, in the future, with Kevin Byard only having 1 year, but we got to, I think, address safety in this draft as well. There's some really good ones later in the draft. You guys know my favorite one. And I don't know. I'm still a little, and maybe this is because I don't know how they've progressed from year 1 to year 2. I still think we need a little extra depth at that defensive end position as well.
You ain't lying. I just didn't want to say that was the biggest hole. I feel like what we got now. I mean, look, I still think.
See, hold on, because now I'm about to cook somebody. See, this is where somebody tries to push themselves to make it sound like they sound stupid. Say more the average fan eyes. Top 15. Let's talk about it. Braxton Jones ranked 53rd in snaps played. Out of that, he was 101st in penalties. You know how many qualifying tackles there were? 141. So towards the end there, he was 112th in sacks allowed, 112th in hits allowed, 103rd in total pressures allowed. Where is he that top 15 at? Braxton Jones is not a top 15 tackle any way that you shape it up.
I was trying to
that you can have guys that you like, but if you're going to try to push yourself as having some more knowledge than the average fan, make sure you know what the fuck you're talking about. You think you watch more? I can tell you right now, you don't watch more football than Stevo. You don't watch more tape than Stevo. Nobody watches more tape than Stevo. A top 15 tackle, if Braxton Jones was a top 15 tackle, nobody would be talking about upgrading him. A top 15 tackle? Come on, bro.
You know what's funny? I do so much research. I know where y'all getting y'all takes from. You're watching PFF. You're a PFF watcher. They got him listed as that high. Stop listening to these motherfuckers that's telling you what they are and go do your own research. Because when I'm watching this nigga, he ain't top 15 as shit. If you can't stop a bull rush, something they teach you in fucking Pee Wee, that means 7-year-olds know how to stop a goddamn bull rush. You're not top 15 in nothing. So stop with these PFLs. Oh, I'm listening to ESPN. Fuck what they're talking about. Go do your research for yourself. Go watch the tape for yourself. But like I always said, it's a ton of box scorer, ESPN, YouTube watchers.
Saying average fan eyes was crazy though.
Bro, you was the same motherfucker that was in this. Oh, PFF said we have a top 15 line. We good. Did you also watch that Justin Field was running, and that's what they was adding on the run blocking onto that? This is why our PFF was so high in O-line. It was because of run blocking. We also had 2 running backs at the time. You didn't add that into it.
Yep. Well, but listen, man, the Bears are making the right moves now, y'all. And Braxton Jones, he on the chopping block. And, unless they decide to go with Genty at 10. And frankly, that's not even the end-all, be-all because they got those 2 high second-round picks, and they might go ahead and address that there as well. So then he'll find himself in a position battle as opposed to finding himself, on the end of the bench. So we'll see what happens, though.
Top 15 tackle. What the fuck?
Took the glasses off.
Motherfucker was a fucking 7th round pick, 6th round pick, and you talking about 15.
Top 15 tackle.
Your ass not even a top 15 nigga. You talking about top 15.
Yeah, he said that girls don't even respond to the "you up" text from him.
What?
Crazy, bro. You up? I'm not now, nigga. How about that?
They immediately back to sleep. What you talking about? Night, go sit his ass to Steph Curry meme.
Oh my mama, bro. You up? Nope.
Man, bro. I can't. That's that. I've heard some wild shit in my life. This man said Braxton Jones is a top 15 tackle. Jesus.
To who? Compared to who?
Jesus. There's goddamn 64 starting tackles in the league. He's top 15.
I got a better chance starting right now on the left tackle and being a better 15 than this nigga.
He said you're not even a top 15 nigga. That's crazy, bro.
That's crazy, man. Anyway. So I know I asked Kev, Steve, how do you feel about linebacker? How do you feel about the linebacker position right now?
Don't be scared to use it, one of your 2nd or 3rd round picks for a linebacker because there is some quality. Yeah, okay. There's that many quality linebackers. It's just because. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Tremaine guy. I've been a Tremaine guy since he was in college. Watched his brothers. Watched him with the Bills. I just don't think you're reusing him at his best. If you put him at the mic, you're not gonna get the best out of him because instinctively he don't have it. He don't have the instincts. He don't know when to be there at the right time. He guesses a lot when it comes to gap discipline.
He do get picks though.
He does, but not enough. And that's my thing. Like he's range enough, and I see why they put him at mid. He's 6'5", rangy, can get around. That's the prototype. But you have to have the instincts to play middle linebacker. So if we're not going to get the instinct out of him, just because we're paying him so much, I think the best source to get the use out of him is put him on the outside. But I don't think we're going to do that. So if we're going to just keep it up, I'll just say have somebody down the pipeline you think could be a middle linebacker in the next 2 to 3 years.
Now, the Dennis Allen effect is going to be real. People are mentioning it in the comments. Dennis Allen,
so.
That should the Dennis Allen effect plus the additions to this defensive line that the Bears have just made should be enough to get Tremaine to play what we expected him to play, or at least close to how we expected him to play when we signed him. He's
going to be one of the first cuts to start off next offseason to free up some money. That's $17 million back on the books. So
he might get cut either way then.
Yeah.
I was also going to think, do y'all think, I've always noticed when Brisker is on the field, he's way more comfortable. You think the missing of Brisker, because Brisker was also somebody down there where if he need to go get the quarterback, he ain't thinking about it. Go. And then Tremaine was able to go back and look for picks.
It could be like everything, pass rush, pass coverage, regardless of where it's coming from, it's all tied together, right? You got to have it all in synergy. You got to have it all in tandem. And so that's hopefully what we find now, what Dennis Allen could bring to this team. So, with having Dennis Allen and his amazing defensive mind here, I think he's going to be solid with it. So we'll see what the future does hold there, man. But yeah, overall, I think the linebacker does need to be addressed as well. I don't know if I had it on my board as high as Stevo, but I've learned not to doubt Stevo because he knows these motherfuckers.
I just said don't be scared. I'm not predicting to use 2 or 3, but there are some nice, like I would say projects, because there's a lot of linebackers I wouldn't say is ready day one. But 2 to 3 years, they got the measurables, they got the experience, they played in the right divisions. You could use them down the line if you coach them right.
That's a fact. That's 100% fact. Any last thoughts, fellas, before we get up out of here?
Yeah, non-football related. Did y'all see old girl hit the little girl with the baton on the track race yesterday, bro?
Oh my
It was crazy. She like, you ain't finna run past me. Bink, hit her in the head. Stupid bitch. Bink.
And then she gonna go over there crying, talking about, well, I know she's physically hurt, but y'all not thinking about my mental. Man, you just smacked the shit out of her with a baton.
She tried to lie about it, bro. That's the problem with Trump's America. You can literally see somebody.
All right, come on.
Hold on, wait.
We're
You
not
can see somebody do something and then and literally on tape. You on tape hitting a girl with the baton, Haize. And she talking about something. It wasn't me. I didn't mean to do it. What?
She could at least made it look like it was in the motion of trying to.
Bro.
She literally saw her run past, looked at us, oh nah, bitch.
That's crazy, man. All right, fellas, man. We want to appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if there's any thoughts, questions, or anything that you guys want to send into the mailbag, 773-242-9336. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Love you guys. Bear